Good evening, you're watching Kini News and I'm your host, Camelia. Singaporean authorities have justified the execution of a Malaysian over drug-related offences. According to them, he was not mentally disabled.
Singaporean authorities have once again disputed claims that Nagentran Dharmalingam was intellectually disabled. According to Singapore's Central Narcotics Bureau, having a low IQ does not mean Nagentran had a disability. It added that saying he was intellectually disabled was misinformation. The CNB also said it should be noted that in the US, 2 persons executed in October 2021 had IQ ranges of 64 to 72 and 63 to 95 respectively, similar to Nagentran. It said the US courts dismissed the arguments relating to their alleged intellectual disability. The Bureau also said Nagentran's lawyer M. Ravi conceded he did not have the medical expertise to support his claim that the accused had a mental age of a person below 18 years old. It reiterated that a psychiatrist called by the defense agreed in court that Nagentran was not intellectually disabled. Further, it said the courts found that the 33-year-old's actions showed he was capable of manipulation and evasion, such as when he told border security officers that he was working in security in order to stop being searched. It said this was the working of a criminal mind, weighing the risks and benefits associated with the criminal conduct in question. Nagentran was on death row for more than a decade for trafficking about 42.7 grams of heroin into Singapore. He was executed yesterday after the courts rejected his final appeal.
Meanwhile, in Malaysia, cops are set to probe individuals who attended a candlelight vigil in support of Nagentran in Kuala Lumpur on Tuesday.
The police are reportedly probing the participants of a candlelight vigil held in solidarity with Nagentran Dharmalingam. Organized by the Malaysian Bar Council, Tuesday's protest was held on the eve of Nagentran's execution. This is following the Singapore Court of Appeal's dismissal of his mother's final appeal to set aside his conviction and death sentence. Malaysian Bar Council Human Rights Committee member New Sin Yu said he had been asked to provide his statement at the Dang Wangi district headquarters next week. New added that his colleague Yohendra Nadarajan, who was also present at the protest, had been called up as well. Malaysia Kini has reached out to the Dang Wangi District Police Chief Noor Delhan Yahaya for confirmation. Malay Mail reported that the vigil had around 40 participants. They held up banners and makeshift candle holders for half an hour under the watchful eye of 30 police personnel. Nagentran was executed early yesterday morning at a Singapore prison.
The Malaysian government has banned micromobility vehicles from public roads. This got many Malaysians asking, what about basikal lajak? Our next story covers that.
Social media has been flooded with questions about the legality of the infamous basikal lajak after the government's decision to ban micromobility vehicles on public roads. On Tuesday, Transport Minister Wee Ka Siong said that micromobility vehicles such as mopeds, personal mobility devices and personal mobility aids were not allowed on public roads. When the announcement courted brickbats regarding the basikal lajak issue, MCA Publicity Bureau Deputy Chief Mike Chong accused pro-opposition media of twisting the facts and slandering the minister. Yesterday, Wee clarified that according to the 1987 Road Transport Act, modified bicycles were banned from public roads. The MCA president clarified that the enforcement agencies will take action if modified bicycles were used on these roads. A check by Malaysia Kini found that those who use bicycles without proper brakes were liable to a fine. Based on other regulations, the use of modified bicycles on public roads could be deemed an offence. For example, the Road Traffic Rules 1959 stated the below examples as violations. Rule 11. Children not placing their feet on the pedals when cycling. Basikal lajak is often characterized by the Superman position to be more aerodynamic when going downhill.
C4 and opposition leaders have called for Malaysian authorities to revisit the Scorpene deal following the latest development in France.
Malaysian authorities have been urged to act following news that defense group Thales has been reportedly charged by a French judge. This is over the group's alleged complicity in bribery over 2002 sale of submarines to Malaysia. Welcoming the latest development in France, the Center to Combat Corruption and Cronyism said the charge has been a long time coming. C4 founding director Cynthia Gabriel told Malaysia Kini that they are relieved to learn that the big boys, the main shipbuilder, have been finally charged. However, she added that C4 remains very concerned and anguished that the MACC has been quiet as a mouse and no action has been taken so far. Meanwhile, DAP's Iskandar Putri MP Lim Kit Siang urged the Public Accounts Committee to investigate the Thales-related corruption case. Former Prime Minister Najib Abdul Razak was then Defence Minister when the deal was signed. His close confidant at the time, Abdul Razak Baginda, had acted as an advisor on the purchase. In 2017, Razak was charged in France with active and passive complicity in corruption and misappropriation of corporate assets. However, the passive corruption charge was later dropped. In 2016, Razak admitted to receiving around 30 million euros for consultancy services in the deal, but denied that any funds were used to bribe government officials. The government during Najib's tenure had denied any corruption in the deal.
The police are set to review its firework disposal SOPs after a disastrous operation in Sentul.
Police will review how they dispose of seized firecrackers and fireworks to prevent another disaster. Kuala Lumpur Police Chief Azmi Abu Qasim said a review was necessary following the blaze yesterday while the explosive materials were being disposed of. He said police are still awaiting a full report from the Fire and Rescue Department and the chemist. He also noted that the firecrackers and fireworks that exploded during a disposal operation yesterday were in such a large quantity. Azmi was commenting on the botched disposal of firecrackers and fireworks, which led to the dangerous explosions at the Sentul District Police Headquarters Evidence Storage Facility on April 26. Meanwhile, Sentul District Police Chief ACP Beh Eng Lai received a report on yesterday's 6:15 p.m. incident involving damage to the glass structures and roofs of 7 houses. He said early investigation found that 18 cars and 2 lorries, which were case items, had caught fire at the storage yard, and the value of losses is still under investigation. 3 cleaning workers were also injured in the incident.
Harapan today reminded the federal government to ensure the independence of the judiciary is preserved and not violated. Here's more on that.
The Pakatan Harapan Presidential Council has called on the government to ensure that enforcement agencies do not violate the federal constitution and respect the independence of the judiciary. In a statement today, they also reminded the government on its obligation to ensure independence of the judiciary as stipulated in the Confidence and Supply Agreement. They added that an independent judiciary forms the base of rule of law and a democratic system that can be accepted and trusted by the rakyat. Harapan's statement followed Chief Justice Tengku Maimun Tuan Mat's speech yesterday, in which he said that unsubstantiated accusations made against judges and the judiciary recently have gone overboard. She said, although judges are not immune to criticism, it did not mean it was open for the public, including politicians, to level unfounded and scurrilous attacks against the judiciary or a particular judge to further their own end. Her comments came at a time when both the MACC and the police are conducting investigations involving Court of Appeal Judge Muhammad Nazlan Muhammad Ghazali. In 2020, Nazlan had sentenced former Prime Minister Najib Abdul Razak to 12 years in jail and fined him 210 million ringgit on money laundering charges, criminal breach of trust, and abuse of power in relation to his role in state-owned SRC International.
PAS fears it's under attack in the cyber world after it accused cyber teams of leaking meeting minutes that did not come from the party.
The PAS leaks document could be the work of cyber teams of certain quarters wanting to gain mileage. This is according to PAS Election Director Muhammad Sanusi Matnor.
Kalau saya duduk dalam parti ni lama, minit mesyuarat kita tak tulis lagu tu. Kita ada format kita, minit mesyuarat kita. Spelling, urutan apa semua ada format. minit mesyuarat parti lah. Bukan macam tu. Tu tahu siapa tulis dah.
Previously, several documents, supposedly minutes, of a past meeting that contained a plan or action to topple UMNO and BN were leaked and went viral on social media. Police were also reported to have begun investigating the document. They are pursuing the matter following a report lodged by UMNO President Ahmad Zahid Hamidi last week. Meanwhile, Sanusi also commented on Pakatan Harapan's Big Ten approach in facing the upcoming general election. He said, Perikatan Nasional is still discussing this matter, but PAS has decided not to participate and rejects the plan. He added that if PAS does not take part, then PN will not have enough seats.
And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to kinitv.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. If you'd like to support independent media, do consider subscribing to MalaysiaKini.com. I'm Camelia. Thanks for watching.